Magandang umaga po Pilipinas. Tayo po ngayon ay nanonood ng tag, Reload, Debunking Lies by Telling the Truth. Ako po ay si Angelita ng NTF-ELCAC Media Bureau. Tayo po ngayon ay napapanood sa RTVM at lalong-lalo na po sa NTF-ELCAC Facebook page. Ngayon naman po para sa ating preliminaries at introduction po ng ating mga panauhin, allow me po to introduce our host. Kilala na po natin siya noon bilang isa sa mga tagapagsalita para sa NTF-ELCAC, para sa Media Affairs, na ngayon ay ang ating head ng ating NTF-ELCAC Media Bureau, pati na rin po ng Integrated Communications Operations Center. At ngayon ay pinagdidiwang niya actually ang kanyang birthday. Walang iba po kung si Mr. Joel C. Egco.
Thank you, Angel. And good morning. Pasensya na po, ang aking boses ay medyo sumablay over the weekend. But we are very happy this morning to have with us, four beautiful, intelligent, powerful women, in their own respective fields of endeavors, And in celebration of Women's Month, we decided that NTF-ELCAC, Stratcom, particularly the Media Bureau, to hold this very special episode, and to have as panelists all women, powerful women in the society. So we have with us today no less than Justice Angelita Miranda. Lakbakan po natin, Assistant Solicitor General, and she heads the Legal Cooperation Cluster of NTF-ELCAC. She's going to talk about, this time, that controversy involving Alexa Pacalda, who used to be an intelligent young student, I presume, who was lured into the underground movement, exploited, and then later abandoned by her comrades, legally and otherwise. Also, to talk about the issue, we have Ma'am Tess Veluz. Very familiar din po si Ma'am Tess sa issue na ito at sa mga issue pa ng kababaihan. Later on, we'll hear from her. And also, we are joined here today, this morning, by Miss Eiffel Rosalita. She's in uniform. Very beautiful. Very powerful ang kanya pong attire. And she's Binibining Pilipinas. Binibining Friendship. Okay. And last but not the least, my very good friend, my sister. And she's also a reservist, in the Philippine Army, just like me. And I'm talking of no other than, she's a journalist, she's an educator, and she's a beauty queen in her own right also. Tingnan naman, obvious naman eh. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Miss Pia Morato. So, yun po, I hope our friends in the media who are watching us right now, you can send in your questions if you have later on, And please note that for all of us here, for those who are joining us physically here in Quezon City, others who are watching online may also send their queries, And each is entitled to one question and a follow-up later on during the question and answer forum. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you again to TAG Reloaded, Debunking Lies by Telling the Truth. And first off, I'd like to turn over the microphone to one of our greatest legal eagles in the country ngayon. Idol na idol po natin dito. Justice Angie Miranda. Ma'am, morning.
I test. Isang mapagpalaya at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I'm very honored to be with beautiful and brainy ladies on my right and a lady on my left. Okay, so before the question and answer, I'd like to deliver my press statement first regarding the plight of Alexandra Pacalda, who was then 24 years old when she got arrested. Okay, quote, "Be sure your sin will find you out." That is Numbers 32:23. Quote, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." Close parenthesis. This is Galatians 6:7. Justice has been served again to the Filipino people as another member of the communist terrorist groups, this is the CTGs, has been put behind bars for violating the laws of the Republic. On March 13, 2023, Alexandra Pardilla Pacalda, a weapon-toting CTG member masquerading as a human rights defender, was convicted by the Regional Trial Court, Branch 56 of Lucena City, Quezon, of illegal possession of firearm, that's .38 Smith & Wesson, and ammunitions, and illegal possession of explosives. We thank the Honorable Judge Salvador C. Villarosa Jr. for rendering a just and impartial judgment, and our brave prosecutors, the military, which is the AFP, the police and law enforcers who risked their lives for the prompt rendering of justice. Pacalda was caught at the early age of 24. She will be spending the most of her livable life in prison, as she was sentenced to 40 years imprisonment of reclusion perpetua, on top of another 8 to 10 years of imprisonment for the other case. Let me emphasize here, there are two cases lodged against her. This is the illegal possession of firearm and ammunitions and explosive to be used for bombs, okay. Although she had a chance to avail of the government's Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program, or ECLIP, or the Reintegration Program for CTG surrenderees, Pacalda chose instead to recant her voluntary surrender and frame the government and the military for arbitrary detention upon the prodding of Karapatan and the National Unions of People's Lawyers, which is the NUPL. It is tragic that the so-called human rights defenders, quote and unquote, Karapatan and NUPL, among others, left Pacalda cold and alone in a prison cell to rot, but are bent on scoring for more youths to deceive and use as a cover for their unlawful acts. The deceptions of Karapatan and NUPL, as borne in the court records, let me just, records for the public to see, show how they defend the so-called fake human rights, but in truth and in fact, carry out the twisted ideology of the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, and NDF of the National Democratic Front. Horrifyingly, if not appallingly, these Karapatan and UPL are the same groups who would constitute the proposed Human Rights Defenders Protection Committee under House Bill 77, authored by Honorable Edsel Lagman, or the Human Rights Defenders Protection Act. If enacted, this committee, which is to be funded by the taxpayers' hard-earned money, would use their newfound powers to impede law enforcement by providing sanctuaries or safe refuge for their fake human rights defenders, comrades, and of course harass the law enforcers of the country. Pacalda's case is a wake-up call and an eye-opener. Her case should serve a vital lesson to the youth to value their lives, their parents, and their loved ones, to to pursue their dreams within the folds of law, and to be vigilant against the CTGs and their murderous ideology leading to the death and destruction. Pacalda's case is a wake-up call to our legislators for them to be not deceived by the insidious House Bill 77, which will only be abused by the CTGs to protect themselves from law enforcement under the guise of protecting, allegedly protecting human rights. Lastly, Pacalda's case is a wake-up call for the CTGs to return to the fold of law at once. The government will see to it that the CTG sins and crimes will be exposed and prosecuted, and that justice will be served to the Filipino people who have long endured the killings and distractions brought by the CTGs masquerading as a human rights defender. Thank you, and a pleasant morning to all.
Maraming salamat po, Justice Angie of OSG and our chief po, cluster head of the Legal Cooperation Cluster. Now for a rejoinder or a comment on this statement and on the case itself, I would like to call on Ma'am Tess Veluz, the former rebel from the first quarter storm generation po.
Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Siguro kailangan ko muna ikwento yung aking isalaysay, yung aking naging karanasan nung ako ay 16 to 17-year-old. Nung ako ay nasa all-girls school pa ng Stella Maris College. Doon po ako nag-elementarya hanggang high school. Tapos sa 1970, nagkaroon ng first quarter storm or what we call Diliman Commune. Wala po ako doon personally kasi napakabata ko pa. Pero sa bahay kung saan nagmi-meeting ang mga presidente, at least 2 presidente ng government-owned universities were there, including Raquel Edralin, the wife of Bobby Tiglao, who's now on our side. And some prominent professors and students who were always being interviewed during rallies, during the Marcos time. 3 of my brothers, all from UP, starting from UP High pa sila, elementary nila, Lourdes School, so Franciscan missionaries then, and then UP High School, and then UP Diliman. Out of 10 children, 5 kami na naging aktivista. Okay. Yung 3 talagang hardcore. One of them is the one considered head of the Sparrow unit, which is the urban guerrilla guerrilla warfare, okay, of the CPP, NPA, NDF. At that time, CPP was still at its infancy kasi 1968 nagkaroon ng NPA. In fact, the talk or discussion points to NPA na nauna before CPP, the formal organization of CPP. Now, ang nangyari, so nalaman ko yung mga ins and outs ng CPP, and I became a collector of donors of cash and kinds from very prominent senators. Okay. I will not tell the party because you might think that I'm partisan. Okay. So senators and then rich people, elite from the Makati subdivisions and some exclusive subdivisions, executives from Makati business, and then white collar employees, teachers, nuns and priests. To tell you how closely I was connected with them, when I got married in Forbes, I married a bourgeois. One of the priests who officiated in my wedding was militant priest. He's already gone now. And Monsignor Iliana, who's a cousin of mine. And one table was exclusive for hardcore CPP members, namely Nilo Tayag, who is now Bishop Tayag, who's on our side. So one of the things that I did was collect money for 15 years. And it brought me to the States even, where I also collected contributions from very prominent American citizens. One of them is a Jewish guy who was funding the hunting the criminals of the Holocaust. Okay, so you can see how rich he is. Okay, and somewhere Filipino surgeon, doctors, businessmen in New York. And this was my group. I was one of the only female member of the executive committee of the Movement for Free the Philippines. Okay, and he's headed by no less than a friend of Benigno Aquino. So they're very influential kasi mga rich people. And then back to when I was in my teens, so the whole of my college until I worked in multinational companies, I was collecting. I was trying to. I provided sanctuary for wounded NPAs, women, men, and those who were ready to go to the mountains. Okay, young people from Philippine Science High. One of them is my cousin, Nona Del Rosario. You can look up her name at Bantayog. And so that's one. What else? What did Alexa did? I retrieved or cleansed the safe houses that were raided by the military in the 70s. Okay, so I didn't know how to ride the public transportation, but I went to one in Cainta, Muntinlupa, Tarlac, whatsoever. And I would retrieve grenades that were left by the comrades. So, and I would just carry it in my bag. Okay? I didn't know how dangerous it was. Basta inutusan ako, gagawin ko. So I was known as a young girl that can penetrate the elite villages and at the same time go to the crevices of the hiding places of the comrades. Okay. Papagamot ko sa PGH, pag gumaling na, hahanap ko ng place, pagkain, transportation, hatid ko pabalik sa tagpuan para bumalik. And because I had a car in my first job, taga-UP I was in demand by companies. So I had a car in my first job. My second job was Air France, so I get to travel around the world for free. So lahat ng resources ko nagamit ko. As I was listening to one of the lawyers of the government discuss RA 10168, by which, this is the financing, Terrorist Financing Act, I realized the one that was in the picture, I forgot her name, several of them, young women, young ladies, maybe students also like me. Okay? Alam niyo po ba, sabi ko, dapat palang kaparusahan ko is reclusion perpetua. Oh my God! It's a good thing it was not a law then. Diba? So sabi ko, dapat ako nandyan. Sabi ko kay Kadada, pahiram ng slide, lalagay ko yung picture ko dyan. So that the kids, I still call them the kids, the teenagers will know how destructive and devastating and it destroys your character to even consider joining even rallies, reading materials of the CPP and PANDF. Nasira po yung pamilya namin. Away-away kami, bakbakan hanggang sa kami tumanda. That is the curse of communism. Human rights, when I speak to in several talks that I have to in government agencies, how do you spot a communist terrorist? Number one na sinabi ko, human rights. Okay? Human rights. Pag yan palaban at sinabing human rights, flee, stay, stop. don't touch me. I have my rights. You know how I got enlightened, Justice, Your Honor? Naging Christian po ako. In my trip to the US, you know, my first husband died of scuba diving. 2 months lang kami kasal. So I searched the red books, the Leninist books, the Marxist books, the books that I adored and idolized, the characters. There was nothing to answer the grief that I was feeling in my heart, although palaban ako. Nothing. So when I went to New York, talagang hinuli ako ng mga Christians na kaibigan ko doon. Makinig ka. At nung napakinggan ko, kamukha ni Paul Newman na pastor. At ang gwapo. Tapos, colonel siya sa US military. And he was so intelligent. And I said, how can this intelligent guy, you know, speak about God? And he's so, you know, scholarly. But you know, the moment he said, your pride is the one that's, you know, pride. You know, from the end of the room, at ganyan ako, hindi ako makikinig. Kasi active na rin ako sa Catholic noon, dito sa Manila. Then I walk and lumuhod ako. And I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And from then on, I studied the Bible to know the problems of man, you know, deep within your soul, in your mind, in your heart. And I got verses to show that disobedience will not bring you anywhere. You have to trust God. And the verse that I have for the young people is, you know, Proverbs 31:2. Okay, ito 8, no? Ito yung a woman of substance, a godly woman. And a godly woman is, God says, open your mouth for the speechless. Okay. Open your mouth, judge righteously, her worth is far above rubies. Diba? Ganda, Justice. I'm sorry po. Yeah. So I cannot go back but revert to the Word of God. Kasi, kung titingnan nyo yung ng human rights, yung history, we have to go to the origin of human rights. What happened? It became a tool of the devil. Hindi naman author si God ng confusion and destruction, deception. Who's the author of that? Diba? Mag-isip-isip na kayo. Kaya yung mga bata, gusto kong mag-isip sila. Kasi madaling malure ng intellectual, you know, bourgeoisie, you know, and then the possession, dialectical materialism. Madaling malure na, no? Lalo na taga-UP ka. You know, I got to the best jobs in the world until Wall Street without presenting my credentials. Okay, so I was never questioned for my credentials, and I'm not an achiever. I'm just a regular student. So, saan nag-umpisa ang human rights? It began in 1946 with drafting. There's a committee composed of representatives from US, Lebanon, and China. And it was enlarged by with Australia, Chile, France, Soviet Union, and UK joining. Sipin nyo, buong mundo, no? And then it was not dictated by religion, political, and cultural context. So, komunista, socialist, you know, liberal, and nationalist or the conservatives, wala yan, no? Basta human rights daw. And discussed by all members of the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. There were 30 rights that were listed. And this was under the international human rights law. Now, the problem with human rights is that, as I said, it's been used and abused by evil forces. Because, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We do not fight against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities of darkness. Lahat nagagamit ng demonyo. Okay? So, gagamitin niya mga political leaders, fighters, defenders, etc. Ano sinasabi ng Biblia? I give you freedom, but you do not use it for evil. This is in, my mind is, let me see if I can find it. But I always give verses that will point to my position. So may freedom, pero may accountability. And if you use it for evil, then it is no longer good for humanity. But the Bible always speaks of love for God, love for authority, love for humanity, love and respect, not rights. Because you surrender your rights to the Almighty and let the Almighty do His vengeance and disciplining the leaders of the society. So kung ganyang kataas na yung level, mataas yung level ko as komunista, pero mas mataas ang naging level ko bilang Kristiyano. So ang komunista pwede maging Kristiyano, ang Kristiyano hindi pwede bumalik sa pagkukomunista. Because I was lured by communism by the word of serve the people brigade. Serve the people. And it's a hoax, it's a deception by the Communist Party. But as a Christian, I do not only serve the people, I serve a God. And because I serve a God, I can serve the people with all humility, purity, and sincerity. Thank you very much, Justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much for an account of your testimony, Ma'am Tess Veluz, no? That was really eye-opening. So, if you have any questions, we'll reserve it later. As we continue po, with the rejoinder or comment po from two of our reservists, the first of po from these two is a media personality and a spokesperson, none other than Miss Pia Morato.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Ma'am's Justice. Yes, and attorney, right? Are you an attorney? No, but you're just like a former rebel, is that it? Okay, paralegal. Yeah, like Pacalda. Okay. Nice to meet you. And of course, Eiffel, it's nice to have you here. I will always focus on the younger ones because I'm always so thrilled to see young people join the armed forces. You know, I am also a reservist, but I must begin what I have to tell everybody today with the fact that although I'm a journalist, I'm an educator, I take pride in that. I am a spokesperson. What I have to say really is that first and foremost, I am a mother, okay? And I take pride in being a mother, a single mother at that. I have two beautiful children, summa cum laude, magna cum laude. I'm proud of them. And I take pride in this because, you know, Justice, Ma'am Eiffel, when I come home, nobody in my house knows who I am, right? They just know me as Mom. And I never tell them who I am. In fact, when they got older and went out, one day they said, Mom, you never said that these people, you know, look at you in this way. And I'm like, no, because at home, I have a job to do. And my job, you know, first and foremost is being your mother, right? And again, a single mother at that. So when I joined the armed forces, it was very meaningful for me because I had just also come from country-to-country agreements. I speak 3 different languages, and primarily, as you can see, I'm so white. I speak Spanish fluently. And at that point, my country-to-country agreements already went to the level of, you know, we have Mexican ships coming here, we're dealing in the armed forces, and I said, well, we have to know how they think, right? Di naman ako papayag na Pinoy ako and we don't know how they think and I understand the language, so I gotta do my part, right? It became a matter of national security, but my motivation was a mother's motivation because I love my country. And in Spanish we say, Dios, patria, familia, right? And I always held that in my heart so closely. So, luckily for me, I don't know if you will say luckily, but when I graduated from the Philippine Army Reserve, Marawi hit us. What luck, right? I had to get into the war scene, right? For the first time in my life. And that is when I learned to be one with the people. Kasi, when we're trained, when we go through our trainings, it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, as the Backstreet Boys say, right? It's what you can do, what you can give, and what you're willing to sacrifice. We heard our beautiful ladies to my left talk about women of substance. To be a woman of substance, it entails a lot of sacrifice. And we must be willing to do that. And we have to be examples to the young people here. And again, I focus on Eiffel because I'm so proud that this beauty queen is a reservist. And I really want to see more of our young people be this way. Because this is what we should advocate. Okay? It's not about only being an activist. We must advocate the right things. And we have spoken about the Lord, and I believe He is the biggest example because what Jesus advocates anyway is love, right? And we're talking about love for country, love for your family, right? And love for God first and foremost. I am born in Quezon, raised in Quezon City. So my grandfather was the first mayor of Quezon City. But guess what? I also come from Quezon province because he landed there from Spain. Yeah, I come from my abuelita or my lolas from Calauag, Quezon. I'm speaking in English, but I can really speak deep Tagalog with a little bit of a slang or something. Kasi yung lola ko was really Tagalista, di ba? But yes, I come from Calauag, Quezon. And when I heard about this news, I was really, again, so moved because I do remember the days when my father and my mother would take us to Quezon because, we had to go there. My grandfather built a canal there back in the day, and we were going there as young children, and never did I ever think that we could be in some kind of danger because of the NPA, right? But my parents protected us. And it got to a point where it became so difficult to go there because of our problems in our country, right? And now that everything has been exposed, as a mother, again, this is how I am going to take my stand today. A mother who wants to teach the younger generation, we must continue what we've already begun. If you love your country, we will do it together. Because our country has so much potential. And yes, we have to respect our authority because God put him there. God put them there. Right? So we must obey. We must obey, really. And we must all do our parts as part of this country, as members of this country. So this is just my message as a woman, since it's Women's Month today. Let's lead. Let's help lead the young people in doing the right thing, in advocating the right thing. And that all begins with love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pia Morato. And now for her comments also, remarks as well. I'd like to call on the Miss Binibining Pilipinas 2022 Miss Friendship and Philippine Army Reservist. Wala pong iba kundi si Private Eiffel Rosalita.
Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Justice. Good morning, Miss Tess. Good morning, of course, Miss Pia. Siguro my take lang po is people always or often ask me, why did I choose to be a reservist kasi beauty queen na daw ako. I can just live the life na parang I can go showbiz, I can be whoever I want kasi I have the platform already. But what they didn't know is prior po on joining beauty pageants, way back po ng college ko, I joined the program, ROTC program of our school. I was a graduate of Polytechnic University of the Philippines in Santa Mesa. And yeah, to be honest po, the instructors there during enrollment, they keep on asking me, why would you join ROTC? They discourage me po a lot. And then one thing that I said lang po is, I wanted to join ROTC kasi I think that my heart belongs there. I may not join the Philippine Military Academy, at least ito lang po ang gagawin ko for my country. And what I'm saying is that there are countless ways to show our love for country, patriotism. Is one thing po is joining the ROTC or to be part of the reservists ng ating country. Not po yung parang lure po tayo sa deceptive recruitment ng ating mga komunistang teroristang grupo. As a youth po, I always say this na di bali pong mabilad ako sa araw, di bali pong mahirapan ako, di bali nang gumising ako ng sobrang aga. Kasi yung mga natuturo po sa amin nung nag-ROTC ako, hanggang ngayon dala-dala ko po siya. Healthy po ako sa awa ng Diyos. And then siguro yung isa po sa pinakagusto ko is yung disiplina ng pagising sa umaga, hindi late sa pagpasok or kung sa mga meetings, yun lang po, malaking bagay na yun. And prior joining po ng Binibining Pilipinas, I also joined Binibining Catanduanes, which I bagged po, second runner-up and People's Choice Award. And then this last year po, Binibining Pilipinas, I bagged the Binibining Friendship. And sabi ko nga po, these days lang na-realize ko, siguro nadala ko po yung tinurong nung ROTC ako na camaraderie, yung pakikisama sa tao, yung po talaga yung, I can say, na nag-mold ng personality ko. And siguro po, ano ko na lang po, no? Let us be part of the solution, not the problem. Let us encourage po the youths to join the ROTC or to be a reservist of our country. Kasi po hindi po natin mape-prepare yung youths, yung future para sa mga youths. But we can prepare the youths for the future. And siguro po, eto sinulat ko lang kanina. Yung sa human rights po, we must uphold the human rights through peaceful and lawful means. And this means by engaging in dialogue, advocacy, and peaceful protest to raise awareness about human rights violations, to demand justice and equality. Again po, there are countless ways to show how you love this country. And let us be part of the solution. Yun lang po. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Private Rosalita. And now for our questions from the media. Kung may katanungan po tayo, you can see your microphone, either that or the one in the middle po. Sige po, Sheena from SMNI po, ma'am.
Ma'am, good morning po. Ma'am, can you give us 2 factors para mas maintindihan lang po nating mga kababayan? Ano po yung naging dahilan? Kasi nagbalik loob na po dati si Alexa. And then matapos makausap niya si Attorney Maria nang tumata yung attorney niya sa NUPLA, tila po nag-iba po yung statement niya. Can you give us 2 factors yung naging dahilan, ma'am? Bakit siya bumaliktad? Thank you po.
This is for justice.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay po, go ahead.
Hello, my Tess. Okay. I just have the gut feel, okay? Because I haven't spoken to Alexa, although I really bleed. My heart bleeds for her. She has a very bright future. In fact, she was the editor-in-chief of Enverga College. Matalino, maganda ang futuro, and yet, eventually, she carried a gun. The 2 factors that might have influenced her to withdraw yung kanyang sinumpaang affidavit of surrender, voluntary surrender. By the way, I'd like to emphasize this. court records bear out that when she signed it, and that voluntary surrender, andun yung brother niya, yung mother niya, Miss Binig, siya ang pinaka-chief ng karapatan sa Southern Tagalog, and the father. And of course, Attorney Taule. All right. So what made her change her mind? Okay, number one, the indoctrination. When I went to United Nations, yung una doc, ang age daw ng talagang mature na ang mind ng tao is not 18. It's 25. It's medical, doctors would say that it is really 25. So can you imagine when Alexa was indoctrinated to hate the government, to hate the things happening on the alleged human rights violations of the government? Talagang natanim sa puso niya yan at saka sa isip niya. So when she surrendered that September 14, 2019, when she got, on that fateful afternoon, that's 5 o'clock, andun pa rin yung kanyang puso sa komunista. And especially so, there were frequent visitations. Frequent, ha? Ang bait nga ng AFP, ng Solcom. Inaalaw kasi sila Attorney Taule, yung mother niya, si Binig, and lots of karapatan. Kasi to emphasize this, si Pacalda, ayon dun sa testimonya niya sa desisyon, ay paralegal ng karapatan ng Southern Tagalog. In fact, may certification siya na ibinigay ni Ms. Binig. Pinaka-chair yon ng karapatan. Ngayon, nagpunta daw siya doon sa Barangay Magsaysay kay ex-Kagawad Boysan upang magturo ng human rights. Yun na nga. At pakilala daw sa mga tao na may mga abogado sila na kung inaapi sila, andyan yung NUPL. When the judge asked her, what is your proof? Do you have any certification from the barangay or the local government na magkakondak kayo ng ganitong paralegal? Wala siyang mapakita. Ang sinabi niya, bukas pa po kasi namin the following day daw, no, September 20. How about yung tatlo mong kasama? Kasi 4 sila originally na bibisita kay Kagawad Boysan. And Kagawad Boysan pala, early on, pinapasok niya yung mga policemen Army. Because they've heard, mayroong kasing concerned citizen na nagtawag na sa kanila na frequently binibisita nga ng mga NPA, yung bahay ni Kagawad Boysan para manghingi ng tulong, maybe it's a food or financial. So, yun ang naging scenario. Nauna dun yung mga police and then winelcome ni Boysan. Ngayon, pa-approach na itong 4 nung makita ni Sergeant Carpio. Memorize ko na yung decision eh. Ayun, nag-scamper away. Ha? Take note, 4 sila ha. Imagine, talagang ang feeling ko, nag-voluntary surrender ito kasi na-corner siya at saka parang gusto na rin niya magbalik loob. Kasi pwede naman siyang tumakbo kagad, magkakasama sila eh. Anyway, that was the story. And then when the judge asked him, do you know the 3 person? Hindi po, first time daw niya. Sabi niya, ang word ng decision, Miss Binibini, mga Pilipina ka, Binibini, Tagalog. Bakit sumasama ka sa 3 kalalakihan, pupunta ka sa isang lugar na liblib, 5:00 ng hapon, kung kung mag-educate ka baga doon? So sabi ng court, hindi ka panipaniwala ang mga tinuturan mo, Binibini. So, that's why the prosecution was able to discharge its burden of proving 2 crimes. The crime for illegal possession of firearm and ammunitions, kasi may dala siya ng 38 Smith & Wesson and 6 bullets. And of course, the blasting cups, which is being used in grenades. So, doon po siya nakakuha ng reclusion perpetua sa illegal possession of explosives. And on the other side, on the illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, she got 8 years and 1 day to 10 years as maximum. Okay? So, yun na po yan, 2 grounds. Prodding or cajoling of the NUPL and the karapatan, and yung na-embed na kasi sa puso niya, ma-hate sa government. Because remember, yung AOM nila, antagonize, organize, and mobilize. Yun yung nangyari sa kanya. So that's my the short explanation for that, or kind of lengthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice. Ma'am Sheena, you're okay na po? All right. Anyone else? Yes, Ma'am Mary from
Angel, excuse me.
Yes, you have an additional.
Can I
Go ahead, Ma'am
add to
Tess.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. Ang turo po kasi sa amin nung nag-umpisa ko sa KM CPP, protracted revolution. What does protracted revolution means? Pahabaan yan ng PC. No? Basta ma-indoctrinate, ma-radicalize ang lahat ng sektor ng society. 60s pa yon. So can you imagine after 54 years, this still happening? And that was one of the reasons why I turned a leaf, Kasi tahimik na ako eh. I'm just enjoying my life, no? I'm already going to be 70 this July. Thank you. So, parang gusto ko lang, ayoko nang makialam sa mga politika. No? In fact, I was being invited, nung EDSA Revolution, nandun kami sa New York. We took over the consulate and the houses of Madam Imelda Marcos and opened it to the public. And then, when babalik na sila, yung mga kasamahan ko doon, Tess, sama ka na. Sabi ko, ayoko ng politika. Born again na ako. I will stay here and I'll be a missionary. So I returned to the Philippines and helped in businesses, in whatever I can for the government and churches. Pero nung nakita ko, nung time ng lockdown, nakikinig ako sa SMNI, yun lang na, sorry po talagang doon ko nakita yung mga truth na lumalabas. Kaming dalawa ng kapatid ko, na isa ring aktivista kasi UP, master sa public administration. Naggalit na galit kami doon sa mga nagsasalita, ng mga politiko, ng mga kung sino, si religious group, na puro kabulustugan ng mga pinagsasasabi. Because they don't understand the rudiments, the philosophy, the psyche of, a rebel, a communist, a terrorist, versus the godly, the makabayan talaga. At yung may malasakit sa pamilya. So doon ko sabi ko, paano kaya natin to, Angus, paano natin to? From out of the blue, Kaya I know that it's the spirit-led. Mr. Peter Mutok, who I've known since the 70s, no? Lahat sila nakakulong ako lang nasa labas Kasi nga, hindi naman ako aktibo noon. Kaya yung aking pagbibinyag sa apoy at sa kilusan, dun sa loob ng YRC nangyari, sa maximum prison ng mga political detainees. So, doon ako kumuha ng mga orders. Kaya mabibigat yung mga naibigay sa akin. Kaya nga sabi ko, ako dapat nandyan din sa kwan ni Alexa. Ang psyche ng estudyante na 24 at the time, din ako, mapusok din ako. I can do anything. I can penetrate even the US, military, parang gano'n. No? Bilib na bilib ka sa sarili mo, yung kakayahan mo. Kaya hindi basta-basta ang dyan, ang pag-aalaga, sa pag nag-return na sila. Kasi talagang deeply embedded. Yung protracted, kahit na matagal yan, dahan-dahan, basta ma-radicalize. Pati mga siga-siga ng mga komunidad na radicalize para siya ang gumawa ng mga criminal activities. So ano pa ang isang batang estudyante na mautak? No, I call that, Miss RC, you're innocent, you're smart. Yeah. Innocent, smart, pretty. Di ba? So mapusok, passionate. Yan ang mga So, suportahan po natin. Nakakaiyak po, lalo na kung naririnig nyo pati yung mga young people na IPs, yung mga workers, meron nga kami kasama sa kilusan ng pagwawasto ng katotohanan. Ito po yung bagong kilusan namin, ang mga composed of FQS, first quarter storm, first generation, second, third generation, parents, legal parents, yakap ng magulang. Talagang nakikita ko yung dalamhati ng magulang. Okay? at ang winasak na buhay ng mga kabataan. Buti na lang po, ako'y talagang kinuha ng Diyos na, dito ka. Wala kang magagawa. Dito ka. Magbagong buhay ka. And He gave me a good life. Very good life. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Tess. Question po from Ms. Miranda of Radyo Pilipinas 1.
Good morning po, Justice or even Ms. Tess. If meron po ba kayong nare-recall na similar cases na gaya nitong kay Alexa na willing na siyang mag-surrender but then bigla niyang binawi? And also, ano po yung recommendation natin para hindi na maulit yung ganito na nai-impluwensyahan pa ulit yung mga magsusurrender na sana?
I'll refer to AJ, Lucena. Bumalik, na siya nakita niyo ba yung message niya sa, alam mo kung makikita lang to ng mga mainstream media, hihindig ang balahibo ninyo kung paano siya magsalita. No, hindi siya, ang isang bata na pure, innocent, sincere, mapagmahal sa magulang, hindi ganun magsasalita. Kung tawagin niya yung nanay niya, Relisa, wala kang karapatan magsalita sa Congress. Nasakop na ng demonyo, di ba? So, kaya marami po, hindi lang si AJ. And if you see AJ's photo, I want to show you a photo of mine when I was young too, no? Na rin ako dyan sa ganyang kaisipan. Talagang hindi niyo po aakalain. Napaka-innocent and pretty, no? And just like our panel here, no? So nakakahinayang po. Bigyan po natin ng attention and I hope that, and I'm very, very, honored and thankful that our Justice Miranda is here. This is not the first time I listened to you. Sa SMNI News, I heard you. And I've also known Eiffel. Yung Paris ang kaya natatandaan ko yun. Nasagot po ba yung tanong nyo? Nasagot po? So marami po, ha? Ako mismo na nasa field ng marami pa kasi akong kaibigan eh. Siyempre, 50 years ko silang kaibigan at kaibigan ko pa rin sila. Pero, I cut my ties. Kung hindi sila mag-hello sa akin o kung hindi sa Facebook, social media, I don't bother. Because I know magkaiba na yung aming thinking. Yung mga kasamahan ko na in the last stage of their lives, yung iba inatake na rin. Hindi pa rin nagbabago. So can you imagine how, di ba?
Yes.
Kung madagdagan ko lang on the legal aspect, we've helped Miss Relisa Lucena take back her daughter sana, no? We filed a petition for habeas corpus with the Supreme Court, but ang galing talaga ng mga CTGs, no? The CPP, NPA, NDF, because AJ got indoctrinated at the age of 16. First year siya sa FEU. But then, inilabas lang siya ng 18. What is very surprising pa, nakalagay sa likod, Congress of the Philippines. Andun sila Colmenares, sila si AJ. Yung mga sabihin mo na yung lahat ng mga kabag group, no? And then, that's why sabi ng Supreme Court we have the law. It's the age of majority here. Kaya lang na-emphasize ko nga kanina, medically, it's 25. At any rate, yun. So, hindi kami pinalad sa habeas corpus. But then we still fought by filing cases in the DOJ. Ang namasakit pa dito, we fought actually 4 lives. Kay AJ, yung kay Mrs. Espinosa. Si Mrs. Espinosa at si Mr. Espinosa, almost makukuha na sana yung anak. Kaya lang, nagkaroon ng encounter sa Palawan at hindi pinalad yung anak niya. Nagkaroon na ng boyfriend din na NPA. So, there are cases pending for the ng mga bata. Kaya lang, yun na nga ang sinasabi ko na let's join forces, especially yung youth natin, si Miss Eiffel, to convince na wala talaga kayong mapapala dyan sa ideology na yan. We are the only country here in this, or even in the world na mayroong ganito. and 53 long and agonizing years. Ha? So that's it. So let's wake up po. Lahat po tayo magising na sa katotohanan. Thank you.
Miss Pia?
As a journalist, I've interviewed Miss Relisa many times. She's a friend of mine. And another mother, I just forget now, but she's a yes, I think so. She's a teacher. Yes, okay. Sa lahat ng masakit, talaga, as a mom, as a parent, makikita mo yung anak mo na ganyan. Diba? Kasi minumura ka pa. Kasi bumalik na yung anak ni Relisa, diba? Yes. And this infiltration got into her so deep, right, that she actually left a unit that loved her so much, risked their own lives for her, diba? Just to get her back. Talagang hindi tumitigil lumaban to mga magulang nito. And as a parent, you will not stop eh. If you love your children, hindi ka titigil eh. Right? Even if it costs you your life. But children, the young people, they should know that's the value of every unit, of every mother and father, right? Is to protect, defend, and love their children at all costs, diba? They'll go through hell, right? Just to get their children back. So to the media, please understand that. Put yourselves, just like I did, as a journalist, in the shoes of these parents. They're grieving. They live in hell every single day. Okay? And as much as possible, it is our duty to keep on bringing out these stories. Again, thanks also to SMNI. And I have to mention also Radyo Pilipinas because I used to broadcast there also. And that is where I also interviewed the Ma'am Relisa and Ma'am Espinosa ba? Yeah, or Escalante, yeah. Talagang mararamdaman ninyo yung sakit. Okay? But you cannot even begin to sympathize with what they're feeling. The most we can do is bring these stories out there for everybody to know and for the young people to understand. Diba? Again, so that at the end of the day, they will advocate the right thing. Right? Which is to preserve, first and foremost, the family.
Thank you very much, Miss Pia. Yes, follow-up, Miss
Follow-up question po, since you've been mentioning this should be a wake-up call for parents as well. Meron po bang mga early signs na dapat bantayan yung mga parents kapag ganitong
That's a really good question. So with the Philippine Army, and thanks to my Scout Ranger friends, I have kasi this advocacy. It's called the Good School Project because I'm a teacher, right? So I actually go into the public schools and I bring my young, beautiful celebrity friends there, right? Because, and the last thing I did before the pandemic was to bring our Marawi heroes to the public schools, okay? At this point, the students, they were so amazed and really went to the soldiers. I even got their autographs and told them, one day, sir, I want to be just like you. Diba? And these are grade school children. Prior to this event, we had like a briefing. And I asked the teachers, okay, actually not just me, the team, we asked the teachers, can you identify, are there identifiable learners in this school? And the answer was yes, as young as grade 6. That's, I don't know, 11 years old, 12, yes, 12. Maybe. So as young as that, teachers are seeing the agitation. And the one thing that has to be understood here is that schools and households, the family unit, need to partner. You need to partner with your teachers. Parents need to partner with your teachers. Because sometimes, we, as parents, we can miss something, but the teachers can identify it. Or, as parents, like, your child is a certain way. Kasi si Relisa, yan yung nangyari. Diba? Ang ganda ng pagpapalaki niya sa anak niya. Pero hindi niya alam kung bakit nagkaganon yung anak niya. Diba? So again, partner with the school. Kasi makikita mo, parang pag pumupunta ng school, there's something when this child comes home, right? But you need to also educate the teachers. They need to be aware also for them to be your partner. So that's how you'll see it. That's how you'll be able, one way to identify it. If you have partners who collaborate with you for the same cause, right? Because it's a big help for the learners or for the young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pia. All right. Any additional questions? Yes, sir.
Jing Villamente po ng Daily Tribune. Talking about soldiers, gusto ko marinig sa inyong stand sa mandatory ROTC. Will you support the call?
All right. That will be for Ms. Eiffel.
Sorry, come again. You're asking po if why am I supporting the mandatory ROTC? If I will be supporting. Yes po. That's because we should give the youths po, or rather, personally, I'm really thankful po for the government because they have this program para sa aming mga kabataan. That is yung revival po of mandatory ROTC. Kasi po, for now po ang mandatory ROTC, hindi lang po siya puro marcha, puro bilad sa init. They will also give us the basic knowledge and equip us with the training regarding disaster preparedness and response. So there are many skills po na ibibigay sa atin ng mandatory ROTC. So yes po, I am in favor po on the revival of mandatory ROTC.
Right.
Si Yusek Ed ko tinuturo ko.
Yes, Ma'am Pia.
There's a lot of standpoints when it comes to the mandatory ROTC. But I am for it. I will advocate it. I will support it, okay? Not because I want to only see, young people marching in the streets and as soldiers, whatever. There's more to us as soldiers, okay? Some of us in the reserve force are actually priests, okay? We're professionals. Nurses, doctors, security guards. Kaklase mo lahat yan right? So, we have contributions in society, right, that are needed by society. Eiffel is talking about disaster risk preparedness. I agree because, again, on a higher level, we're always asking even, let's say, foreign friends to help us, right, in disaster risk reduction, right? And, we want to be prepared, right? If you love your country, you want to be prepared. And securing your country is not just about marching in the streets. You have food security, water security, iba-ibang klaseng security, diba? And you want everybody who is a citizen of this country to be involved.
Thank you, Ms. Pia. Any other questions? Oh, yes. Justice Angie.
Okay. Backtrack lang ako ng konti. On the question if I fully support, I support the ROTC, a resounding yes. You are facing to a second lieutenant in a Bravo company, 1978. That's why nag-start kami dyan sa pagmumold ng character ko. And of course, God-fearing because I'm an Iglesia ni Cristo. I was reared by my parents to fear God. Okay? So, meron lang akong lalagumin dun sa, that's very good. Partnering, yung kung paano mo ma-detect kung ang anak mo ay napupunta na sa kaliwa, tama yon. You partner with the teachers, the school administration. Ang problema in PUP, in UP, and though there are a lot of state universities that, I'm sorry to be a situs of recruitment. You know why? Because yung mga professors nagko-connive at naniniwala din sila. If that is the case, uproot your child there, pa-transfer mo. Marami namang state universities na nag-uphold ng rule of law and naniniwala sa ating konstitusyon. By the way pala, ang NPA or the CTGs, meron silang communist constitution. So baka doon kayo magawi, wag na. Dito tayo sa Republika ng Pilipinas. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Justice. All right.
AJ.
Ma'am Tess.
Yeah. In addition to the three ladies' reactions, ako rin, 100% resounding yes to MROTC. Bakit? Kung yung mga K-drama, K-pop, lahat sila, walang choice. 2 years, no? And most of, a lot of these K-dramas and K-pop's idols, attest or affirms that they have a very good experience inside the military, and it develops a deep sense of loyalty and love for country. Okay, Christian nation din sila eh. That's why they won against the North Korea, no. Now, isa pa, hindi na ako pwede kasi gusto ko pa rin, ano. Kung hindi lang na-impair yung aking walking, but I can still climb mountains and stairs. But I want to contribute through the Council of Elders. And that is one of the things that I will probably advocate and be an initiative, how we can, in the barangay level, determine those that are being already developed or lured, just like me, because I would know, okay, the psyche. Although my parents never knew, hindi nila nalaman at all. Kung nahuli ako, napatay ako, that's the only time they would know. Okay? Very quiet ako. My mouth was sealed. Okay? For secrecy. So, even when I got married, I had 2 husbands who passed away. And I got widowed twice. They never knew. Although they see the personalities who were visiting my home, but I never told them who they were. Okay? So, ganyan ang ano. Now, yung council we already have in our group sa Kilusan, teachers. Kasi importante ang teachers eh. Of the 12 hours that they are awake, how many hours are they in school? At doon din naman ako na-indoctrinate sa school. And when they knew that I had the leaning, because of my 3 brothers, I was even commissioned to start the discussion by professors. Kaya pumapasa ako sa subject minsan, pasado na ako. Kasi ako nag-lead ng discussion towards, the indoctrination. So malalim po, isipin niyo 50 years, more than 50 years. At kung ilalagay niyo yung picture ng mga anak niyo, ng kapatid niyo, ng pamangkin niyo, dun sa i-photoshop nyo, no, dun sa picture nila AJ, picture nila ng mga anak ng mga nakuha ng NPA ni Alexa, marirealize nyo, it could happen. It could be happening among my youngest sister, ako number 5, number 8 siya. Ito yung naging professor sa UP. She talked to me when I was in the States. Sabi niya, ate, nung nasa UP Manila siya, nire-recruit nila ako kasi daw lahat ng kapatid ko, ganun-ganun. Sabihin mo sa kanila, tama na, layuan ka. You pray, to let this devil leave you. Yeah. Hindi siya makakaalis kasi na siya graduating na siya. So tama si Justice, no? I-transfer nyo yan ng eskwelahan. Yung mga apo ng kapatid ko na Sparrow, no? Sparrow yun. Lahat ng mga anak niya, pangalan Sparrow. Guerrilla leaders, urban guerrilla leaders, Oo, Sendik, mga South American. Yan ang kanilang mga iniidolong terorista, no? South Americans. Merong Andreas at merong Fidayin. Tapos yung last niya na anak, Spara. Okay? Mabuti na lang, mababait sila lahat. Pati yung apo, sabi ko, papasok ko yan sa Christian school. Tapos yung isang anak niya, si Spara, gusto magsundalo. So I was, and that brother of mine na Sparrow, nag-born again din, bago siya namatay. So, talagang transformation, spiritual transformation. You agree with me, Justice? Yes.
Ayan po. Thank you very much, Ma'am Tess. If there are no more questions from our friends from the media, I would like to ask our panelists to give their final remarks, final messages, starting off with Miss Eiffel Rosalita. Message po sa mga kababaihan.
Firstly po, Happy Women's Month. And to the youths, lalo na sa mga women's nating nanonood, na let us support and empower each other. Let us have an initiative to support the passing of this mandatory ROTC bill, because it will not just benefit sa ang sarili natin, but to all the youths po around us. So, yun lang po, and maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Miss Eiffel. Ma'am Pia?
Happy Women's Month, and thank you for having me. I will always have it embedded in my head that it takes a whole of nation to accomplish everything that we want to accomplish. With that said, I salute all the women that's contributing to nation building, but I also want to thank to the empowering men out there who see the contributions of what we women are capable of doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Pia. Ma'am Tess? Ma'am Tess Veluz? Ma'am?
Our most distinguished guest. Maraming salamat for inviting me here. I was actually feeling under the weather. But by the grace of God, nandito ako. And I would always ask the Lord, I will always pray for our children. Women, we are supposed to be the prayer partners of our husbands. You know, for us to be more precious than rubies. Okay? And so you pray to the Holy Spirit to cover with the blood of Jesus Christ your home, with the thorns of Christ, against evil intents and deceptions. Deception kasi that's the one that is really getting our children. And I hope all mothers would be prayerful and be watchful of your children. Not so much as to make them fear you. Not with iron hands, because women are supposed to be loving and prayerful and God-fearing or godly. Right? So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Miss Tess. And of course, Justice Angie Miranda.
Before I finally state my final piece on Women's Month, I'd like to emphasize that the whole of the nation and the whole of government approach, pursuant to EO70 of then President Duterte, has been a very effective tool to neutralize and win at peace in this country. To all the women out there, mothers and mother-like, pangalagaan po natin ang ating mga kabataan, ang ating mga anak, sapagkat ayon kay Dr. Jose Rizal, sila, they're the hope of our nation in the future. Okay? So in closing, I'd like to give you this one. Breaking the glass ceiling at work, thus unleashing women's power. Thank you and a pleasant day again.
Maraming salamat po, Justice Angie, and I'd like to call on now again our host po to close our program. Thank you.
Thank you once again to our distinguished panelists, and ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, our message is simple lang naman. It's only through unity that we can achieve lasting peace and genuine development. So our message to everyone is a message of love. Just like what our beautiful panelists here said during the press con. So dito po nagtatapos ang isa na namang kapanapanabik at nakabanata ng TAG, Debunking Lies by Telling the Truth, Reloaded. Samahan niyo po kami ulit sa susunod na Lunes, same time, At maraming po salamat sa RTVM, sa lahat po ng sumabaybay sa ating press conference ngayong umagang to. So, mabuhay po kayo. Maraming po salamat. Again, thank you very much.